We're halfway through the first season of Paradise, and with all the twists so far, I've changed my mind about 10 times on who I think killed the president. Half of that just in the last episode. So in this video, I'm playing detective and breaking down the main suspects behind President Cal's death. Starting with my wild card, Xavier's daughter Presley. Now I know this might seem like a stretch, but her relationships with her dad, Uncle Billy, and the president's son Charlie gives her easy access to the house. Billy even seems to suggest that she sometimes comes over to play games. So could she have overheard something she wasn't meant to? She also quickly befriended Charlie after his father's death. Is that out of sympathy or guilt? Personally, I think it's sympathy, but she's still worth keeping an eye on. So it's unlikely, but not impossible. My first main suspect is Dr. Gabriella. She's close to Sinatra and had control over who entered Paradise. So did she also bring in hired assassins like Billy and Jane? She's also been manipulating Xavier into suspecting Billy. But can we even trust her story about the president not trusting him? As the president's therapist, she has access to confidential information. If Sinatra planted her in this position to gather intel, she may have passed something along that led to his death. On the other hand, maybe she's working against Sinatra, trying to expose the truth. She did say she picked Xavier to enter Paradise because he was honourable and that she knew that when the time came, he would do the right thing. If we believe this to be true, then maybe her ulterior motive is one which actually puts her against Sinatra. Either way, she's definitely very suspicious. My next suspect is Sinatra, the true mastermind behind Paradise. Do we really believe someone as powerful as her didn't know about the president's murder? We've seen how ruthless she is with dealing with threats. If the president had planned to expose the outside world, she would have every reason to eliminate him. That said, the murder was messy and Sinatra doesn't strike me as someone who would allow such a sloppy job. Her concern about recovering the president's missing iPad after his death also suggests to me that this was not planned. If she had ordered a hit, why wasn't it handled cleanly? Still, she remains highly suspicious. My next suspect is Robinson, the president's mistress and one of the last people to see him alive. She was quick to push blame onto Xavier. Was that out of love, or was she trying to control the narrative? Her secret conversation with Billy and Sinatra in episode 4 raised major red flags. Plus, Sinatra admitted to having multiple killers inside Paradise. Could Robinson be one of them? She was close enough to the president to get to him without suspicion, and the fact there were no signs of a struggle suggests he trusted his killer. However, she seemingly has an alibi, which if we're led to believe, puts her in the clear. Nevertheless, she's still highly suspicious to me. My next suspect, the president's wife, Jessica. The way the president died, blunt force trauma, suggests a crime of passion rather than a professional hit. We know their marriage was falling apart before they even entered Paradise. If she found out the outside world was livable, could she have snapped? Imagine, stuck underground with a man you don't like, forced to bring your son along. That's motive. She, like Robinson, however, also has an alibi, and personally, I doubt she really would have done it. Therefore, I'm putting her down as a maybe. And my next suspect is Jane, who we now know is a highly skilled killer working for Sinatra. She was in the house when the president died, and whilst we know from Billy that they messed with the cameras so they could play there is no doubt someone as covert and skilled as her could have broken free momentarily to murder someone. But here's the issue. The murder was too messy. Would someone of her skill really just bash him over the head and leave the body to be found? Considering how she seemingly killed Billy, her ability suggests she would have been way more precise. So while she's no doubt suspicious, I'm leaning towards unlikely. In terms of other possibilities, there's Cal's dad. It's clear their relationship is strained, for example, but I don't think we know enough to draw conclusions. Cal's son is also a possibility, but he seemed generally upset by his dad's death, so extremely unlikely for me. And of course there's Xavier, but nothing to me suggests that he's the killer, and he appears way too honourable. I mean, the killer could even be a character we haven't been introduced to yet. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the next episode, I had a completely different list. But as things stand, my top suspects are Gabriella, Robinson, and Sinatra. What do you think? Who's your main suspect? Let me know in the comments. I'll also be making another video at the end of the season to see if my suspicions were spot on or way off. So if you want to see how it all plays out, just give me a follow.